Hello and welcome to CVOICE 8.0. My name is Jeremy Chara. I'll be hanging out with you throughout this series as we dive into the world of Cisco Voice. And this is always a weird nugget for me to record. I call it the end at the beginning because it's probably the first one you're seeing and it's the last one of the series that I do, so I can prepare you for what you're about to experience as you get into the world of Cisco Voice. So my two objectives for this short opening nugget is simple. One, to show you what CVOICE is all about, not only for the certification world, but for the real world as well. It has huge relevance to both. And then I'd like to show you how to get the most from this series. Not only like mindset ways to approach CBT Nuggets training, but also like how to build your own lab. Like one of the most common things that people ask me is like, well, what kind of equipment, what equipment did you use, or what should I buy if I'm building a lab for my company or for myself? I'll show you all that here. I guess you could say CVOICE and I have been good buddies for a long time. I've been teaching this series for easily 10 years or more. So I've seen it go through many evolutions, and I'd like to share where it's come from with you so you can see where the voice industry is going. But first off, where does it fit? Well, for those of you certification-minded people, head to cisco.com/certifications, underline right there, and you will be redirected to this page. Which actually I went a page ahead. It shows all the certification programs. We are landing right here in CCNP Voice. Now, it used to be, back in the day, that CVOICE would automatically give you a CCNA voice when you pass it. Not so anymore. Cisco finally decided to separate those two, so where you have a specific CCNA voice certification, and then that leads you into the rest of the CCNP voice certification exams. So right at the top of the list, now looking at this list, you might say, well, do you have to take them in that order? No, you can take them in whatever order that you want. However, Cisco tactfully puts them in the suggested order in this list. Most people will take CVOICE first. Now, it's not always that way. For instance, if you deal with Call Manager or Cisco Unified Communication Manager, the newer name of it, quite a bit, you might say, well, I'm more comfortable doing CIPT first. That's totally fine. So CVOICE sits right here, and if you ever want to know what's on the exam, from a high level, you just click on that. You do need to have, right up front, you see how long it is, how many questions, the exam number. You need that when you register for it with Pearson VUE. But they don't let you actually see the topics unless you sign in, which means you have to have a CCO account, which essentially says, I've given Cisco my email address and told them spam me for life. Actually, they're pretty good. They don't send too many emails. But once you log in, we now can see all the exam topics that are available to us, and this is essentially the certification breakdown of CVOICE. Now, when I'm studying for an exam, if you're going that way, I print this thing out. It's sitting on my printer, and I'm starting to look at the book, and I'm highlighting it as I feel comfortable on COS, DSCP, and IP precedents. I highlight it and say, okay, I'm good. I feel good about that. So literally, I'm kind of filling in the gaps as I go. This gives me something to aim for instead of just reading a book and hoping to get there. Also, I get a lot of questions about, should I get practice exams and all that? I'm like, it's hard for me. Practice exams are costly. Sometimes they cost as much or more than the certification exam itself. And if it's more than the cert exam, I'm like, no, don't do it. Go take the exam, and there's your practice. It's like, you wing it, maybe you'll save a couple bucks and pass it the first time. But if not, you've seen the actual exam, which is fantastic. And now you can come back and fill in the gaps where you're like, oh man, I felt weak on this. So I don't usually do the certification practice exam route, and it also makes me feel like I'm just studying to answer questions. I don't know if you know what I mean by that. Like I'm like, okay, if I see that one, then see, maybe not that detail, but okay, if I see one on I'm like, that's not real world. I want to know it. I really want to get it. So one thing that you'll find with Cisco certification exams is they're very good. They're very challenging, and they're very real world. There's been a handful of times, but just a handful. I've taken a lot of exams where when I walk out of Cisco certification exams, for the most part, I am like, that was a good test. Like, I have that feeling like if I didn't know that topic well, I wouldn't pass that exam, and I like that. So Cisco, very real world certification. Now, here's where it's come from. I've done 3 renditions of CVoice for CVT Nuggets, and when CVT Nuggets asked me again, they said, "Well, do you think we can just do an update to CVoice 6.0 and move it to 8, or just re-record the whole thing?" I'm like, ditch it, re-record the whole thing. Enough has changed over the years that we just need to, have a clean slate, if you will, with CVoice 8.0. In the original CVoice, the majority of the series was focused on understanding kind of the old world, like the PBX world, and I mean there was a lot of discussion where we're talking about this, which is a PBX system, and we're saying, well, here's your line cards. Oh, ooh, that's an Amphenol connector, Amphenol, and we're explaining how that goes. And what's been interesting is I've come from classroom environments where I've taught classrooms full of PBX people. Meaning, I've worked on a PBX system all my life. I'm a phone guy, and now I'm moving my skills into the voice over IP realm. That was full classes of nothing but PBX people who are like, okay, what's an IP address? I mean, it's really a big learning curve when you do that. And now, as the years have gone on, it's creepy to say this, but as decades, well, I'll say a decade has passed, since that, the PBX people in the classes are getting fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer, to where now it's mainly network professionals that are in there, simply because PBX people at this point have either made the jump or they're probably not going to. Again, not as a rule, but just as kind of like that's the norm. Anything can happen. So what we've seen in the CVoice series is a lot of this stuff is gone. It's moved more and more and more away from that, to where it's like, okay, if you want the history of voice, go ahead and study that on the side. Take a little mini course on that, if you will. But now you're going to get more into the nitty gritty. So when we saw the CVoice 6.0 upgrade, the big thing that happened was we lost a lot of the old school technology, and we started adding things. Like, for instance, there used to be and there still is, an entire quality of service series, like and certification exam for just quality of service. And we started seeing more and more and more quality of service come into this CVoice series, to where eventually, quality of service, which used to be part of this, how about this? Used to be part of I was trying to draw a circle. Used to be part of this track. Now it's gone because quality of service is now a core component of CVoice. Now, when we went to the 8.0 upgrade, which is the most recent, we saw a big addition of Call Manager Express, or the new name, Cisco Unified Communication Manager Express, but who wants to say that? So that is the ability to run a full call processing system on a router. Again, used to be an entire series of its own. As a matter of fact, I wrote the book for CCNA Voice about 5 years ago, and in its first release, matter of fact, I'm looking at it on my shelf right now, and in its first release, it was nothing but Call Manager Express and Unity Express, and how to run an entire phone system from a Cisco router. Nowadays, they've started splicing that into CVoice. Not the depth that it was at when it was a full series in itself, but enough to say, okay, I get it. To where, with CVoice, it's like you have these mountains of technology. You have, the voice gateways, you have quality of service, you have Call Manager Express, and CVoice kind of goes like, I would say chunk, and cuts off different levels of what you can do with each one of those things, to where you could always go deeper. I mean, there's only so much you can put into one certification exam or one series, but at the same time, you will know enough that, number one, there will be no fear. That's one of the biggest prohibitors to progress in technology, is you're like, oh, I'm not going to touch that. If I type a command, I'm afraid I'm going to break it. So there's like a natural fear of that. I get that way with Linux. When I'm in the Linux world on a server, I'm like, I'm scared. I'm a root user. That goes away, and you really get confidence stepping forward, to where, if it's not part of the CVoice certification, then you have enough knowledge that you will have no problem getting it. So the focus of this series, both for certification and real world, is voice gateways. Number one. That is our number one priority. We're going to be looking at Cisco routers equipped with voice interfaces that can bridge the old world, let's say the PSTN, into the new world of voice over IP. And those voice gateways can do the translations, talk to different styles of network. That's the whole definition of what a gateway does. Second focus is Call Manager Express. Now, again, there's subtopics all around these things, but core focus is Call Manager Express, to where you can now take a router, which if you get the right modules, I mean, you can put switchblades in there to where it's a kind of like a swouter. You can put voice interfaces in there. You can put WAN links in there, bring in an interconnection to where this becomes like an all-in-one device to run a business. It does the data, it does the voice, it does the wireless, it does the VPNs, it does the voicemail, it does all of that in one box. That is Call Manager Express, to where you can start running IP phones from there. Finally, we get into quality of service, and quality of service is I call it the missing ingredient. When you get to that part of the series, it's funny. I just finished recording quality of service, so there's a great story about sugar cookies in there. You have to listen to it. You'll laugh when you get to it. But quality of service is truly the missing ingredient of many a voice network, and it only takes one experience with bad quality of service to really start making people doubt the whole validity of voice over IP. So finally, how do you get the most from this series? Well, with any CBT Nuggets series, repetition is key. I read a fact. It was very discouraging to me, but I read a fact that if you hear something within like 1 month, you will forget like 80%. If you just hear something, after 2 months, you've forgotten like 9. It's absurd. It's like it's amazing that we can walk around and not fall down with the amount of stuff that we forget that we hear, probably just because of the information overload society that we live in today. So repetition, going through it again, doing it again, taking notes, grabbing a pencil, getting tactile with yourself. Yes, pencils and pens do still exist, and there's paper, and it is proven that if you actually start writing, not type it, sure, there's some value in creating a little Microsoft Word doc, that's fine, but if you're actually writing it down, drawing a little picture, I mean, you're really engaging multiple senses, and I know this gets into kind of like the thought process of learning, but that will help you. I mean, if nothing more, just doodle a picture of what I'm talking about. I'll be, okay, you got this voice gateway, and so you just kind of draw a circle and a connection, a WAN link, all that. It will seriously help you embed stuff in your mind. I've been teaching now for 15 years. That's scary to me. But one of the things that I do is I live on whiteboards. I mean, you'll see as I'm going through this series, I'm kind of like, sometimes I'm just like, stars and little bunny rabbits and whatever. It's just like my mind is just on this visual trail of drawing and connecting the dots and all that kind of stuff. So it will seriously help you remember information to just even draw a picture. Next up, build a lab. When you get into the voice world, just to give you a little flyby, I was a CCIE in routing and switching before I got into voice, and I had just gotten my CCIE. So you're kind of like, I'm a stud, I know what I'm doing, and I'm on top of the world. And I came back, and the company I worked for back then said, we want you to go into Cisco Voice. It was actually Cisco because they wanted me to write some of the curriculum for it. And I said, voice? Well, I'm a CCIE routing and switching. I thought, I'm like, wow, I'm a CCIE router. I can do this. It was like it was like running into a brick wall. I came in there and I was like, I don't get this. This is all totally different. It's going to be very difficult unless you get some lab equipment there, or you can. Nowadays, it's so cheap. I mean, when I was studying for my CCIE, I spent $14,000 on a rack of 2500 series routers. And I had one, it was my sacred router, my one 2600 series. It was a 2620 with a fast Ethernet port, so I could do a router on a stick. That was amazing technology. But just insane prices. Nowadays, I mean, you go on eBay and it's like pennies compared to what it was. I mean, grab. Well, here, let me talk about it. Right here, you can grab one of these models of routers, like a 2610 or 11 or 2620 or 21. Key being the XM. That's to where you get the extended memory and you get more capacity to run voice. iOS versions, but grab one of those. Those are, you could probably get one of those for maybe, I don't know, $50, $100. It's somewhere in that range. When I got in there, I actually had a company generously give me a 2801 router, which I love that thing. I mean, it's you're probably, I don't know, maybe maybe 200 nowadays. I haven't checked prices lately, but I would guess somewhere between 200 and 400. But it's such just a great router. Built-in DSP resources, which are digital signal processors, helps transcode your voice, and I mean it's really good. It's just a good router. But I originally started with, I actually went on eBay, and this was a long time ago. I bought a 1750 voice router, which most people don't even know those existed. It looks like a little Xbox. It's not rack mountable. It's meant to sit on a desk, and it supported voice modules and stuff like that. And I actually tinkered with that a lot. And I mean, nowadays you could probably pick one of those up for what, $20? I don't know. So you can get something really cheap. Let me jump down here. Grab some IP phones as well. That's what these are. The 7940. And when I give you these recommendations, I'm always thinking in terms of cost, because I'm kind of a cheapskate, and I'm like, okay, well how cheap can I build a decent lab for? So 7940 and 60, these were the original IP phones. This is what they look like. They've since been replaced by the 7941, 61, 62, all those kind of models. But I mean, these you could probably pick up for $20 to $40 a piece to get an actual IP phone. Just one or two of them to where you can test. Grab a couple analog phones, for $1 from a garage sale, because you'll want those. You want to equip your router. If you got one of these 2600, you'll need a carrier, because they don't support voice modules natively, whereas the 2801 does. So you'll have to grab one of these carrier modules. That's one model of it, to where you can put these cards in there. These are actually analog voice ports. I don't have a picture. To where it's like a little card that has two RJ11 jacks, to where you can plug in phone lines. This is for phone lines to like the PSTN, or this is like analog phones. And you convert your little dollar Walmart analog phone into an advanced voice over IP device. It's great. So I'll put those together. This is I grabbed that picture because that's actually a 3550 PoE switch. Again, it's a layer 3 switch. Come on, people! It's a great switch. It's 10100, but nowadays you can get those for again a fraction of what they used to be. I haven't checked them recently, but I would say maybe probably under $100. I mean, for a layer 3 switch with voice VLAN, power over Ethernet, that's pretty amazing. The invent of gigabit has really pushed saturated with the market, with all these people getting rid of their old 10100 stuff, which is great for building labs, because 10100, you don't need more than that for a lab environment. Last lab building advice that I'll give you is I grabbed this picture just from an eBay auction, to where it looks glossy and pretty. There are people that sell lab kits, which is fine. What they are is people that essentially go and buy pieces of Cisco from various sources, and then assemble it, make it look pretty, nice little photo, and mark it up to where they'll sell it a little more. Advantage of buying a lab kit is it's easy and brainless, and usually it's from a reputable company, or a reputable, at least, individual who will back what they're selling, that they know what they're doing, they've tested it, that kind of thing. But you're going to pay a little bit more buying a kit like that than you would just going out and searching for, I've got one router over here from a guy selling it for $10. Wow, what a deal! Grabbed a phone for $15. I mean, you can kind of piece it together, but then you run the risk of well, what if that doesn't work? And the shipping costs for multiple pieces may add up. So two different ways to go about it. I will tell you, my personal approach is I usually piece it together. The lab kits, they look beautiful, but you're paying for the beauty. So it's up to you. So once you build that lab, and once you are continuing through the series, dig deeper. You're gonna see topics where I know I'm gonna leave it hanging, almost purposely so, because I know if I say one more thing, we're gonna open up a whole can of things that it goes way outside the scope. But that is, these two do just kind of go together. The more that you dig and the more that you learn, the more you're gonna love Cisco Voice. When I first got into it, like I said, it was like hitting a wall. And my initial reaction to hitting a wall is, I don't like this. I don't, I had the little cheap excuse, and I laugh at myself nowadays. I used to be like, well, I'm a Cisco guy. I'm not going to make phones ring. I mean, come on. I'm a Cisco guy, And I was just making an excuse of like, yeah, who has time for that voice technology, simply because on the inside, I didn't get it, and I was scared of it, and I was like, I don't feel confident in that area. And once you do this, once you dig deeper and keep going in this series, and you jot down the key information, you really start mastering some of this technology. That's where you're like, this is really cool. I want to go home and tell my wife or my husband about this. This is great. I want to set up my house for voice over IP. That's a good idea. Matter of fact, I would suggest you do that. That's when I first got started in voice over IP. This was actually before I was married. Today, did you know what? Today, it's November 9th. It's my 10-year anniversary to my lovely wife. But before I was married, I actually ran cables down the hall, duct taped them. Seriously, I was not a good cabling guy. I'm not good with my hands, and so I would run RJ11 and RJ45 down the hall with literally duct tape on the hallway walls, and put voice over IP phones in the kitchen and things like that. And I actually set up my whole house for voice over IP, which, I mean, you're kind of like, okay, cheesy, but think about it. What's the difference between your bedroom and a cubicle? Just a location. One's smaller and doesn't have a bed in it. But, I mean, a cubicle has an IP phone, and so does your bedroom now. And so does your guest room, and so does your kitchen. And now you have internal calling. Now you can hit dial 9 and dial an outside line. Now you can receive calls, route them to the right place, have all the phones ring at once, set up voicemail to where, auto attendants, where somebody calls your house and says, thank you for calling the Chara residence. Dial your extension or hit 1 for, I mean, think of the stuff that you could do. It's cheesy, yes. But I'm telling you, by the time it's said and done, you're going to be like, that's pretty cool. And now you've got the confidence to go in. No, okay, advice number 3, when you're at the job interview and they're like, well, I don't know, what kind of Cisco experience? I set up my house once, like that. No, just kind of spin it a little bit differently. But you get the point. It's the same equipment. It's the same technology. It's just the location. So put all these things together as you move into CVOICE and have an awesome experience. You're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna really be able to explore the Cisco voice world quite a bit. So I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.